winning coach Tony Dungy with today's Uncommon Moment.
As a head coach, while our goal was to win football games, make it to the playoffs, and even to win the Super Bowl, there were other things I wanted our team to focus on that were more important to me. The reason? Because that's what I believed God called us to do. To build traits like integrity and character, to help others in need, and to seek God's guidance and wisdom in every decision we made. So I challenge you today to change your plan into His plan. Do things for the right reason, to glorify God, and your plans will succeed at the time and in the way that God chooses.
Tony Dungy, author of the popular Uncommon book series. More at CoachDungy.com. That's CoachDungy.com.
If you're worried your friend may be struggling, remember, you don't have to be there to be there.
You can say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You can ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat on a game, kick off your flip-flops. You can ask on your couch while you binge watch. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the JED Foundation.
Come at me, bro. WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe, ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the next evolution of sports talk radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions.
Now.
And now we're taking...
With the first pick.
This is the last ball you got to bat. The Inside Drive. From college to the pros. Interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And good Wednesday morning here in the Florida Panhandle, Bay County. I'm Ryan Mulvey, joined always by Jay Henley, our Director of Instruction out there at Bay Point Golf Club, and the host of the Afternoon Underdogs, David Hayes, behind the glass. But on this show, he's known as DJ Davy Crockett.
Yes.
You got to get him a shirt. That is for sure. But you are listening to the Inside. Yeah, good. If you don't get one, I'll get one for you.
You got that.
Maybe you have two. Get him a jersey. It says DJ Davy Crockett on the back. Yeah. But you are listening to the Inside Drive. We are sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. Just want to give them a big shout out for being our studio sponsor since the get-go. I was going to do some looking up today. It's not something you can search up. But we got to be getting close to our 75th show.
Yeah.
It might have actually passed at this point.
It could be.
When we do our 100th, you got to plan a celebration.
Okay. All right, so that's coming up 25 days from now.
25, I could call it business days.
Business
we don't
days.
do the weekends.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I want to look that up. I meant to do that before, but then I got overwhelmed because you brought a laptop in the studio today. So I didn't know. Is today a big day? Is it kind of special day? Or are you just,
I don't know.
You ready to search some stuff up?
Yeah, I'm ready to search some stuff up for sure.
I like your Georgia Bulldog sticker on the back of that laptop.
Thank you, man. It's
the best thing is David can see what you have up on your laptop. So
what you got up on yours?
I currently have a story, some golf stories, because it's a sports talk radio show.
Oh, okay.
So I typically like to have what I'm going to talk about, or something soon I'm going to talk about, ready to go.
How many tabs you got open right now?
Not as many as I could. I've got about 7 tabs open right now. Okay. But the time got a little short, and 11 o'clock came real quick, so I didn't add as many links to my browser as Chrome. You're using Chrome, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
There we go. If you were like, Internet Explorer's not around anymore, it's Edge, right?
Microsoft Edge, yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Which I don't think is supported by a lot of stuff. So
no.
Got to go Chrome, right?
Yes, you do.
Chrome or bust?
Yeah, that's it.
Depends.
There's some Firefox. Is Firefox still around? Mozilla.
Yep.
Or whatever that is. I got to apologize. Yesterday I was talking about BK Nights. I never had British Nights. It was LA. I told David after the show it was LA Gear that I got confused with. Do you remember LA Gear?
I do remember LA Gear. Yes.
So I was not in a position to have British Nights.
Yes. It had the little tag on
it. Yes.
And,
yes. See, that's what I was saying, the tag, but I was I was confused with LA Gear and British Knights.
And they were high tops. Were they high tops?
Yeah, I think they were.
Okay.
Man, high top. I haven't worn high tops in forever, but that's kind of all the kids are wearing the Jordans nowadays and the 270s and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to keep shoes on your kids' feet, you need almost a full-time job for that.
They look a lot better than those British Knights.
Yes.
I'll say that.
LA Gear. LA Gear.
Well, I remember back in the 90s, the Deion Sanders, shoes, those were over $100 back in the 90s.
You know what's crazy? And this has nothing to do with the $100 shoes from Deion Sanders, but Jerry Rice's son and Deion Sanders' son are going to play against each other this year.
Oh, my God.
And they used to cover the famous Deion put his hand out to high five Jerry, and Jerry's like, nope.
Yep.
And then they ended up playing on the same team. Was he a Falcon before a Niner? Yes,
he was.
Yes, I see David shaking his head to confirm that.
Yeah.
But I thought that's really cool. I mean, we talked about famous football players with kids in college or whatever, a month or so ago, but that one dawned on me. I'm like, that's going to be cool. That's how old we're getting, Jay.
Shoo.
And kind of, so you'll have the quarterback for Colorado, Shedeur Sanders, and then you'll have Shiloh Sanders, who could possibly be playing some defense on Brendan Rice. That'll be fun.
Crazy.
Everything comes back around.
Full circle.
Full circle.
Speaking of coming back around, I want to get your thoughts on this. The big topic up at the PGA Tour event in Memphis, the first FedEx Cup playoff event, was how hot it was. You talked about Memphis, the state capital of Tennessee, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are your thoughts on now that the PGA Tour is pretty much the Live Tour with all their changes for the schedule next year, no cuts, limited field events, yada, yada, yada? Do you think PGA Tour players, do you think there should be a circumstance where they're allowed to wear shorts in competition?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going straight up with
firing right off the cusp.
Yeah.
They allow them to wear, I don't know if the tour allows them to wear shorts in practice rounds. I think that's just the PGA Championship.
Yeah.
But let them wear shorts?
Absolutely.
Like certain threshold of temperature, right?
Not as short as, I don't want to see them as short as the ladies wearing their skirts on the LPGA Tour.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. I mean,
we got wants to see that.
Yeah, we got to have some
with chubbies on.
Yeah, we got to have some measurements here, but yeah, I mean, I think shorts would be good for the guys.
Yeah. Certain threshold of temperature, right?
Yeah.
Or heat index.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you're out there wearing shorts on the driving range. I'm wearing pants every day.
If I wore pants this summer,
you would have passed away already.
I would have. I honestly.
You'd be searching for a new co-host.
Yes,
you JP.
Yeah, JP, Junior Pro.
He did a phenomenal job.
He did a great job.
He did.
So that could be my replacement. Yeah, for sure.
You're not replaceable, my friend. You got this whole thing that's creating this job security here with you.
I don't know about
that's
that.
the J-isms.
There you
The
go.
J-isms. Well, why should the heat index matter? Like, if they want to wear shorts in the cold, why does that matter?
No, I guess, if they want to wear I don't know. That's kind of the PGA of America, right? When you're in the business of golf on our side, it always used to be you had to wear pants.
Yeah.
But it's gotten a little, I don't know, looser. I just don't see, if you're a PGA member and you're outside all day, why you'd have to wear pants all day.
Especially
Earl
down
still wears
here.
pants. Yeah. Yeah, situationally.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was brutal. Everybody, I mean, who was it? I think it was Tom Kim that was kind of rolling up his pants to be like capri pants.
Yeah.
But it was also really wet, so there was a lot of mud and that kind of stuff going on.
Well, think about job interviews today. I mean, does anybody still go full-on suit in job interviews?
I guess that would be situational.
Yeah, but 9 times out of 10, it's typically, like, hey, look, collared shirt or whatever. I mean, the suits of today.
It's certainly more casual in this day and age.
Yeah.
That made me think of Step Brothers when they interview
I
and
was
come in
thinking
and
the
he's
same
like,
thing.
y'all wore suits to a janitor interview?
They were like tuxedos.
Yeah, they were tuxedos. Yeah, absolutely.
Hello, lady.
Excuse me, Miss Lady. I think I can help with the Pam situation. There's 2 M's. God, that movie was so good.
Man.
They play that a lot.
Absolutely.
But yeah, a couple things out of that. I don't know. I wanted to talk about it yesterday, but I never got to it. Lucas Glover, he's fantastic behind the when he's getting in a press conference.
He is.
He's just a good old boy from South Carolina. That
Very monotone.
Very monotone. But one of the questions was asked to him. He said one of the best developments of 23 is having Lucas Glover back in the press room on his scrappy 66 in the third rounds. He said parts of it you could remove the S. It makes it crappy. But he still shot 66. And then whether he was going to be scoreboard watching in that final round or not, he said, I never saw Belichick coach in the fourth quarter without knowing the score. Just some great Lucas Glover stuff, that's for sure.
Well, he was talking about back in May, if he was asked if he was going to win a tournament, he said no chance.
Yeah.
In May, he did not, and that's the beauty of this game, is that he's possibly sitting to be the FedEx Cup champion. And if you would asked him back in May, he's like, hey, look, I didn't think I had a chance to even sniff a tournament win.
Yeah, and that's how quickly, an equipment change, it's all confidence.
It is.
Golf, all these guys, their swings are fantastic, and they can all hit the ball a mile and hit it close and make putts, but it certainly comes down to confidence. On the flip side, you look at JT and what's happened to him, he's obviously lost some of that confidence and kind of fell off a little bit, and then just as quickly as that kind of happened, Lucas Glover pops right in with a putter change, working, I think he said he was working with Ben Crenshaw a little bit, and obviously Ben Crenshaw was one of the best putters of all time there.
Yep.
Don't forget, we got Keith Fleming coming up at 12. We're going to be talking about the FedEx Cup coming up. Is it the BMW Championship this week, Jay?
It is.
Nice.
Yep.
Look at you, 100%?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah. Well, what are we down to now? Are we down to
50. Top 50. Yep. And then there's 30 that'll go into the Tour Championship next week. Who are you rooting for? Are you rooting for Glover this week? I think I'm definitely pulling for Glover.
Yeah, me too, man.
I can't root for Rory.
Yeah, no, you can't at all.
That guy's terrible. Yeah. So disappointed. As an Irishman myself, I got disappointed when it came to that. But another cool story. I don't know if you saw that Brooks Koepka and his wife Jenna. She was pregnant and she was expected to have a baby, and it came 6 weeks earlier. And the baby was born on July 27th. They had a baby shower planned for July 29th. Obviously, the baby came before that baby shower. But what they ended up doing is they donated the entire party to a local charity called the Quantum House instead of canceling it. And the Quantum House is a place for kids to stay while they receive treatment for serious medical conditions. So the kids got to enjoy the catering, the decorations, all that stuff that was originally done for Jenna and Brooks.
Yeah, that's great, man. Think back on, the FedEx St. Jude Classic. You got the St. Jude.
Yeah, you had all the kids out there. And we saw if Max Homa let the kid walk around with him for a couple holes. Just good stuff.
That is great
Good stuff. Good heartwarming stuff. But we do have a caller on the line. I believe it's AG. Adam Goff, how are you doing today?
What's going on, fellas? How we doing today?
Oh, it's Wednesday. Hanging out here with Jay inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. Still have the longest.
Man, you're so good at that, Ryan. You're so good at
I've got some practice. I did do it in my sleep.
I'm trying to be like you, man.
Hey, Jay brought a laptop to the studio today. I don't know what today is,
goodness.
but it's kind of wild.
It is. It's wild.
It's not a day that ends in Y, I guess.
Yeah,
right.
It might not be.
That's
not
right.
today.
Hey, so I have a question for the golf experts on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Go for it.
Right, let's go.
So you all were talking about equipment changes and things like that. How do you feel Jack Nicklaus and or Arnold Palmer would do today with the advancements that they've made with technology? Do you feel like their careers would be what they were, or would they be better, or would they be kind of lost in the shuffle?
Jay, you want to take it first? You want to let me run?
Yeah, run with it.
It's a great question. Here's my thoughts on it. If the equipment were like it was today, everybody would be eligible for that equipment. So I don't think that it would change, because I still think they would have separated themselves just with that equipment. Now, would it have maybe brought some other people closer to the mix? That one's harder to tell. I think it doesn't change. A lot of people say, they'll win more and all that stuff. But you got to remember, it's not just them that would have the equipment of today. It would be the entire field of players. What you got, Jay?
Well, I think their hands were better back in the day, just because the technology wasn't that great. So, around the greens, they would probably be just even more phenomenal than where they were, back years ago. The conditions of the course, back then.
Yeah, green speeds were very different back then, too.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing. Technology and the mowers on the greens, the reels have changed. They're rolling more often.
Sure.
Yeah. It's a great question,
Stent
though.
Stent meters a little higher than it was back in the day.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I just figured, because you talk about Lucas Glover making a putter change and what a difference it's made, and then, you see, when they bring Jack and, Arnold, rest in peace, when they would come and do or even Gary Player today, and they bring them back for the Masters and they do the ceremonial, first tee, and they're hitting these, drivers of today. And I was watching a video of Nicklaus yesterday when he was doing his tee off, and I think it was from, a couple years ago at the Masters, and it just got me thinking, like, how would these guys' games translate to today with today's technology? Would they be running away from the competition, or would it even the playing field for everybody else with them? Because, I mean, Jack and Arnold had two of the probably most dynamic swings in terms of it was their swing. Like, you knew who they were based on just how the club head went back behind their head and with their follow through. Because they were so iconic, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But they were so far and away above the majority of the field back in the day, kind of the way Tiger was when he first came up.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it just got me thinking.
Yeah, I kind of misunderstood the question a little bit. I would say,
what would their games be like today?
My thought is there wouldn't be as much separation in this day and age as it was back then, simply because of the equipment. The equipment back then was so much more difficult to hit. You had to hit the center of the club face not that these guys aren't today, but I think their skill, their ability may not have been that big of a gap if the equipment if they played in this day and age.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I think so as well. I mean, it's just, think back into the 50s and stuff. I mean, they didn't have they didn't even know what their swing looked like, really. I mean, if you think about it.
Because the video recording technology was the huge mammoth thing, yeah.
Well, they had TV, right? And so they couldn't go back.
Big time feel.
They didn't have DVR back then, so they couldn't look to see what their swing looked like. But it was just all feel back then. And now, today, it's just like JT and all these guys are like wanting to get back to their instructor on Monday morning to be like what their TrackMan numbers are and all that kind of stuff, and it's just kind of taken out of the game. But just get out there and play the game. Like, it's like we were talking about, it's all feel, and that's what I'm trying to teach some of these kids today is like, it's feel. You
get caught up so much in the numbers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a great point because I think their ability was so much better than their competition in their era growing up. Now, this day and age, it's just so hard to compare. But with the technology, with the performance training, the nutrition training, I think it's harder to separate yourself in this day and age of golf, regardless if you're that much better than somebody else. Now, Tiger is certainly an anomaly for sure, but the technology where we are in this day and age is certainly so much different that I think if you drop Jack and Arnie, and they'd still probably be winning a whole lot because of feel and their ability, but the technology makes up for the people that maybe lack that a little bit. And we're talking about minute things, but that's the difference between winning a golf tournament and not. So what do you think, AG?
For me, I feel like their ability to compete, not necessarily their physical attributes, but in terms of their mentality and their mental fortitude, I think that's what separates them even in today's game with technology as it is right now. I mean, the greatest thing about Jack Nicklaus to me in terms of his career isn't the number of majors he has, which is the most all time, by the way. It's the number of second place finishes.
Yeah.
Which will probably never be eclipsed. And just because the field is so stacked, because it wasn't as stacked back then as it is today.
Yeah, that was
I'll
my
grant
next
you
question.
that. So I grant you that, but I feel like their ability to rise to the occasion is what separated them from everyone else.
Yeah.
So I feel like the technology would aid them, but I still feel like there would be a level of dominance from those two today that we haven't seen, prior.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and then back in the day, I'm sure Nicklaus, Player, all those guys had their own hotel rooms. They ate steak at night. And then after the top 10, they all bunked together. They were eating whatever whatever they ate back in the 50s and 60s. I don't know. I mean, ramen noodles. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know when ramen was, or ramen, some people call it that. I'm a ramen guy. I say ramen.
Yeah.
Who knows when that was invented?
But that's how, like, I mean, if you do that every week, I mean, eventually, like, the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep
Well, and to AG's point with having to win in competitive drive and that kind of stuff, they weren't playing. I mean, they were playing for money, but they're not playing for the money they're playing for now. So you didn't as much. There's so many more people involved in the game because of the money. Where back in that day, I mean, they played to win. And that was, and a lot of the guys do nowadays, but certainly a different competitive edge and all that particular stuff because you played to win.
Yep.
Money was good, but they made more money off the course than they did on the course.
Well, man, we said it the other day. I mean, 125th right now, you make over $1 million, and you're eating steak every night.
Yeah. Although $1 million now was like probably $100,000 back then.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Inflation.
That's right.
All right, fellas. Well, y'all have a good one. I'll keep listening and keep up the good work.
Awesome. Thanks AG, for the call. We appreciate you.
All right.
Yep.
Hey, great question. It's it's the comparing eras is such a tough thing in sports because there's so much has changed, not only from a technological standpoint, but another point on the golf thing. I mean, was golf cool back in the 50s and the 60s?
No.
Heck, was golf cool in the 90s?
No.
Was golf cool in the early 2000s? Starting to get there because of Tiger.
Yeah.
But I played varsity golf and varsity ice hockey, and I put the golf clubs on the back of my jacket instead of the hockey sticks.
Yeah.
Why not?
Right.
I just want to bring on torture to myself. But you got to back it up with the game, too. Yes. That's for sure. I was the first ever person in our high school history to have put varsity or put golf on their Letterman jacket.
Really?
Do Letterman jackets still exist?
Man, we've
had this conversation. Yes,
we're in tune with each other because I promise you I had a Bay High School golf meeting yesterday, and my question was, does Letterman jackets still exist? And they all raised their hand and said, yes, they do.
Good.
So, anyways.
I guess here it's a little bit different. I grew up in the Northeast, so more often than not it was cold, so you needed a jacket.
Yeah.
Where here you got like maybe 2 months where you need a jacket.
There you go.
But glad to hear Letterman jackets still exist.
Same, I know.
When I got my Letterman jacket, that was an exciting moment. Because you always saw people wearing them and all that. The funny thing with mine is a lot of people still thought they were hockey sticks, even though they were golf clubs. I didn't really realize that would be the case until I was like, yeah, it kind of looks like a hockey stick.
Did you let your girlfriend wear your Letterman jacket?
Yeah, that's what you did.
Did you carry her books to the next classroom?
I've always been a gentleman.
Have you?
Yes. That's how I got Beth.
Now, are boys today still taking girls' books?
God, I hope so.
No, we just get them backpacks.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, do they carry their backpacks?
They better.
Is chivalry still alive?
That is the question.
Man.
Yes.
I didn't know you were going to be bringing so much heat today, Jay. Laptop, in sync with you. I don't know if that's good for you or good for me or bad for me and whatever, that we're in sync. But when we get back from this break, I want to talk about the ever-hot Atlanta Braves. Are they just on a ship right to that World Series?
They're just playing terrible Yankees.
But is every series they're playing terrible? Because they keep winning them all.
Yeah, they do.
I don't know. Maybe they're just that much better. But you are listening to The Inside Drive. When we get back, we're talking a little bit about those Bravos. You're listening to The Inside Drive.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The afternoon underdogs.
What does Spencer Strider need to go back to school for?
I like that.
Combination of pitches, like throwing pitches at the right time instead of just consistently trying to overpower. People work on that slide piece. The changeup could be a little bit more deceptive, if you will.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For this afternoon and evening, likely thunderstorms and very light rain and a high of 87 with a 10 to 15 miles per hour wind out of the southwest. A possibility of thunderstorms and light rain tonight and quite warm near 81. Possible thunderstorms most of the day aside from some sun in evening and 88 tomorrow. 90 and sunshine Friday. This is your Wednesday's weather brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With summer winding down and another school year upon us, That Boot Store invites the entire family to shop for the widest selections of Western and work clothing in the area at prices you can afford. Don't forget to drive carefully. The roads will be busy. A reminder from That Boot Store. Open Tuesday through Thursday 9 to 5, Friday and Saturday 9 to 5:30. Next to Billboard Kia on 15th Street, Panama City. And remember, God is good all the time. That Boot Store.
Chuck was terrible at fishing. He spent many frustrating hours attempting to get results he saw from internet videos, aggravating trial and error fishing trips, and misguided advice from well-intended friends. Chuck is happy now with his newfound success after he visited Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, where we keep fishing fun, simple, and successful. See us soon at Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
The locals love him.
You're gonna love this. You are my favorite. It's my favorite.
Everybody's favorite. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Chicken, chicken. Chicken,
And welcome back to the Inside Drive, live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. You never know when Chicken Head's coming.
Yeah,
you get that's why I love coming into each segment, because you never know what David's going to play.
That's right. It's so
and
good.
You're like, when's it going to be Genuine? When's it going to be Project Pat?
Right.
You don't know because he keeps on your toes.
Yep.
And then when it happens, it's like, yeah, we're back.
It's fired up.
We're back. Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC right there at 2251 West 23rd Street. Lots of new vehicles in stock. It's just like truck all the way through that parking lot. If you need to get your boat fixed, go give them a call or check them out. They'll get you back out on the water as soon as possible. They are a Yamaha outboard full-line dealer. They're a Suzuki outboard dealer. They have a Yamaha Master Certified Mechanic on staff. Seabourn, Spider, Sundance, and now, what's the other S boat, Jay? Skeeter. That's right. You can check out all their new and used inventory at KramerMarineOutdoor.com. Bravo's got another dub again yesterday, Jay.
They did.
They are on fire still, but surprisingly, they are not in the Bleacher Report power rankings at number one. We'll talk about who that number one team is in here in just a moment. Ooh. But last night, a one-hitter. You can guess probably what that team is. They're just a little bit hotter in the last 20 games or so.
Oh.
David knows.
Does he?
We're not going to ask you yet.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about the Braves first. Did you watch any of that game last night on TBS?
I did. It was a great ball game. My thoughts on it is, why do you put? Aaron. No, hold on. Aaron Boone, who's the New York Yankees manager,
correct,
puts in a guy that has an 8.04 ERA.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's hoping that maybe he's about to turn into something, but man,
you got to put somebody in. I mean, you have your rotation, so.
Well, the Yankees, I guess, are 60 and 60. Man, that's not good. They need to make some changes up there in New York.
Get rid of Boone?
Yeah.
Remember, he hit the home run.
He did take a little. What was he saying? He said they need some personal pride.
Yeah, they're the Yankees.
So, yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
The most historic fun fact. Now, this is a really good fun fact. But anyway, when we were in college, Boone hit that home run, to advance the Yankees over the Red Sox or whatever. It was something big in the World Series. And Bill, being a big Red Sox fan, we might have had a lot of libations.
Yeah.
And every time I'd see Bill for like the next 2 days, I'd just say Boone. And I got punched a couple times, but he's a diehard Sox fan. That's for sure. But anyway, continue your rant about the Yankees.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, it was good for the Braves, obviously, but
one hitter.
One hitter.
Elder went 7 innings, and the guys cleaned it up. One hitter total, which is pretty impressive as well.
And 2 home runs.
Yeah.
Crossing that threshold of 1.77.
That's right.
Baby.
Now it's probably like 1.68 or something like that. But yeah, when Ozuna hit that one in the first, and I was like, sweet.
Just need one more. That's the first thought, man.
Yeah,
first
just
thought.
One more. Just keep hitting 2. Yep.
I actually didn't watch the game on TBS last night either. I listened to a majority of it on the radio and then put it on MLB TV, which essentially is Bally, and they actually had John Smoltz in the booth with them last night. So cool. I prefer like our hometown, Brandon Godden and Frank Core and whoever's along with them, though, over the national TBS broadcast.
I was going to say, man, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah,
watching
we expect
it on PBS,
honesty.
Yeah,
Honesty.
It felt like a low-budget movie last night. I'm not going to lie.
Low-budget movies can be good sometimes.
And, no, I mean, I love the storylines of low-budget movies, but, man, like, they were panning and, you could see the skyline. You could barely see the skyline because it just, like, I didn't even know I don't know if it was my TV or if it was the broadcast or the whatever, but, yeah, it was very low-budget, in my opinion.
Man.
Maybe you're watching on standard definition last night.
I could have been. I don't know.
Do you have a high-definition TV?
Yes, I do.
How big is it? And I'm not talking about the diameter from side to side, inch-wise. How thick is it?
Is it on the wall, or is it you got a couple feet pushing off the wall?
It's a flat screen.
Okay.
It's a flat screen, but one of my legs is broken, so I have to like use a book to get the other one.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Hey, do you know how they measure a TV screen?
How do they measure the TV screen?
So the answer is no. They go from corner to corner.
Oh, from top left to bottom right, or
probably doesn't matter. It's
Where do you want to go?
It's a rectangle. It's all 90-degree angles, so you can go top right to bottom, or top left to bottom right, or top left to bottom, or top right to bottom left. Either way, it's the same distance, or it should be.
These prices are getting crazy low, man. I mean, there was a 70-inch for like $398 the other day at a local place.
Yeah,
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, you can certainly get some. It seems like now it's the over 75-inch and it's the 8K ultra high definition, and then that'll get cheap again at some point. And really, if you just wait a little bit. So,
what was your thoughts on like the Braves are obviously playing good ball?
You kind of feel like it's like they're playing offensively such great baseball, but are they gonna run into a rut at some point? And they just haven't yet. They're 77-42 overall. They're on a pace to win 105 games. They're the biggest favorite to win the World Series at this time in the season. They're plus 330 to win the World Series. So maybe you got a futures in on them when you started there. They've got the most home runs through 119 games ever. 231. They're on pace for the highest team slugging percentage ever, and they're on pace for the most first inning runs ever as well. They also have a player, Matt Olson, who's on pace for 60 home runs, which would be insane. They've got NL MVP favorite Ronald Acuna. He's hitting .338 with 27 homers and 55 steals. And like I said, they're not the number one team in Bleachers Report power rankings right now, but we've got our good friend on the line, Big Papi himself. Alan, how are you doing today?
Big Papi.
I'm great, man. Other than somebody stole my keyboard in the bunker and left me with a defective one.
Oh, man. It's like they knew you were making phone calls from the bunker.
God, I was like,
the bunker has a computer?
Yeah, hey, you know what? We've upgraded. It's a modernized bunker.
Ooh, I'm going to need us to get a picture of the bunker
Describe
at some point.
the bunker to us here, Alan. I'm curious. I mean, I'm thinking of a sand bunker, but describe it to us. What you see, man?
I see just like ugly art and a lot of dust.
Oh, I got you. Dust is not good.
Wait, did I hear that the Braves are not number one in the power rankings?
Yes, in the Bleacher Report power rankings, which I'm going to jump into here in just one particular second.
Oh my!
But
God.
yeah, guess what? What team is holding down that number one spot? I think you probably
know. All right, let's see. If it's, I'm hoping it's the Orioles.
It is.
And it's not like, all right, I was going to say, if they're on that Dodger crap, I mean, is Bleacher Report owned by Disney? Can we get them bought out or something?
Well, if they were owned by Disney, they'd be owned by ESPN too, right? Or same parent company.
Get rid of all of it, man. How are the Braves not number one? They have the highest winning percentage against teams with winning records. They're completely dominating their division and people outside the division. Like, what's their logic in that?
So basically, the recent play, the Orioles are 24-10 since July 5th. And they've got an 8-4 record in August, but that puts them on their fifth winningest month of the season so far. So just they struggled a little bit against Houston. Kyle Tucker's grand slam was kind of clutch in that first game, but I think they're just giving. Probably it's obvious it's the Braves, and this was from at the end of the Mets series, so it hasn't been since it's each week. But
I'm sensing bias.
Can I pose a question to both you and Ryan, Alan? Because I know that you guys are both 49ers fans, right? And I know that we're moving.
Here we go. Tread lightly.
Yeah, I am.
I know, right?
And I know we're moving into that transition period where we've got baseball and NFL coming up. I'm going to pose this question.
Here we go.
The Braves are in a Game 7 World Series against, let's just say, Baltimore.
Hey, look, I'm going to stop you here. It's Braves over everything.
Okay, all right. Yeah, but I was going to say a 49ers, let's say a 49ers game is on a Sunday night and there's no side-by-side action. You got to pick which one are you going with, Moldog?
So I'm not the biggest baseball fan out there. I've become a lot larger Braves fan since we've been doing this ESPN radio thing. Early in the season, Game 7 in the World Series, I'm watching Game 7 in the World Series regardless who's playing and what other sports are on at that time.
Okay.
Now, if you said...
Atlanta Braves... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, now, if you said it was, Game 2 of the World Series and the Niners were playing the Eagles that same night or something like that, then yeah, my Niner fandom is at the tip or the top of all my fandom, so it takes precedent.
All right. I had to pose that question. I mean, I like Alan went straight in. What about Game 2? Let's go Game 2, Alan. What you doing?
The Braves are the only team I cheer for that I would fight somebody over. So, I mean, it's that serious for me. I don't know why it's like that, but it's that serious. I'm telling you, like, I have a sports group with 5,000 members in it, and we lost to the Dodgers in 2020, and I banned every single person who even mentioned that series. Like, I was that angry. And then the next year when we won the World Series, I was just unbearable. So, I'm the worst fan, man. I'll fight somebody for real.
Did you come down to the ATL and go to the Braves parade where they drove 80 miles an hour down Peachtree and you couldn't even see any of the players? Do you remember that?
No, unfortunately, I was working in the jail at that time, so I couldn't even get an excuse to miss work.
I got you.
I remember it was timed as the quickest parade of all time.
It was, man. You couldn't see the Braves. Like, they were going 80 miles an hour down Peachtree.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway.
Yeah, basically since the second half, Atlanta's 15-13. Like I said, they're still 42-18 in the 60 games since June 3rd. So I think that's where they're giving the slight edge to Baltimore as where we are at right now. Is kind of.
I'm still writing an angry email to the editor.
Do it. Send it in. Send it in. But you think Olsen gets to 60?
I would love to see that, man. The more people we get to 60 that are legit, the more we can get away from some of the stigma of that number. So I would like to see him get there. I think he can as long as he stays in the 4 spot. They were talking about it on the radio, and I had questioned that early in the year too. With a guy like Olsen, you don't want him in the 2 spot. He's not a 2-hitter. Like Freddie Freeman's not a 2-hitter for sure, but Olsen's not. And it's just all about the approach for some guys. Like he's a big power guy. He's a doubles and power hitter, traditional cleanup, and you get guys on base in front of him, and people don't want to put him on base. He gets a better pitch selection. Whereas somebody like Freddie Freeman, who has more plate coverage, he can sit in that 2 spot. He can make something happen. So I was happy to see him move him to cleanup, and I'm happy to see him thrive there.
Yeah, that's certainly where he's been thriving. You're getting a little robotic-y sounding.
T-Pain.
If that makes little futuristic.
Sounds like Joanna.
Myself on after the break.
Yeah, no, perfect. Yeah, because I want to talk, one of my topics today, we've been talking a lot about the Trey Lance and, just an absolute disaster of a draft pick that was. And we're going to talk about the top 10 biggest draft busts since 1990. And I'd love to get your thoughts on some of those as well. We'll jump into that when we get back from the break. But Braves, Jay?
I don't know. If the Commanders change to the Redskins, I think Chief Nakahoma needs to come back to the Braves. And, Chief Nakahoma has not been around since the late 80s. I think if they get this home run deal sealed this year, I protest. I want Chief Nakahoma to come back.
But would Chief Nakahoma, would that be a jinx because they're doing so good without him?
Yeah, well, I think
I'm a superstitious guy like that.
Yeah,
I don't like to rock the boat.
Yeah,
proverbial boat.
Right.
Alan, you back on? Alan, you there?
They got to patch me through.
No, I can hear you now.
There we go.
Patch you through. It's like you got to move the phone things around in the bank. But yeah, Matt Olson, he's got, I think, 43 games left to do it, and he's sitting at 43 home runs right now. So 17 doesn't sound like a lot of home runs, but it's just so hard to hit home runs in the league.
Yeah. It's also, how much is he going to play down the stretch?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, is there... Keith said he's got a story about Chief Nakahoma that we'll dive into at the top of the hour.
Yeah, nice.
So, to be honest, I've never heard of Chief Nakahoma.
Oh, really?
But I wasn't a big Braves fan growing up like y'all were. So.
Yeah. They dismantled his tribe up at the in the middle deck of the old Fulton County Stadium. They dismantled it.
So it didn't come over to Turner Field? It was just at Fulton County?
Yeah,
gotcha.
It did not. But yeah, I don't know, man. 17 with we got
43 games to go.
43 games to go.
Yeah, but like Alan just said, I mean, are they going to start resting anybody down the stretch? A little bit here and there, give him a game off every once in a while.
Yeah, and he gets on base. I mean, they walk this.
They walk him a lot.
They walk him a lot, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, and like yesterday, you said just didn't really look like a home run hitting guy at that 6'5", 225-pound frame. I don't know, though.
Yeah.
You never know.
Ozuna, to me, looks like, like his bat should be named Jobu, for Major League.
Yeah, for sure. There's some vibes going on.
That's right.
It's just, they've just got so much power through that lineup that one guy may go cold for a little bit, but then another it's just they're ham and egging it, as we say in the golf business when you're playing a two-man scramble or two-man better ball. You got to ham and egg it. That's what leads to success.
Doing. That's what they're doing.
Having fun. And even is it Lopez who played second last night for the injured Ozzy Albies?
Yes.
Yeah, even he looked fantastic.
Yes.
So they got depth. And
I'm not gonna lie, man. My friend texted me about Nicky Lopez. He was like, "You guys are the new Astros. There's no way you're not cheating." He was like, Nicky Lopez couldn't hit to save his life, and he's in the non-spot batting like 400 for you guys.
Oh man, that is funny. But Andrew Jones, that home run record sitting at 51, and he's only 8 back of the tie. Needs 9 home runs to break that record. I would say that one's probably going to get broken. Let's hope he stays healthy and all that stuff.
No doubt.
That's tough.
Real quick, just want to get, before we jump into that next segment, we still got a couple minutes, some more things coming out from the Tui family on this Michael Orr situation. I know we talked about it yesterday. It's always, you never know what the real facts are and the truth and that kind of stuff coming out. But some stuff that came out from the Tui family, as they had mentioned that Orr has been trying to kind of run a negative story. They've been trying to, for lack of better words, kind of do this song and dance for several times. That they had been told by Orr that he's been trying to plant a negative story about them unless they paid him $15 million. Again, you don't know what's true and what's not true in this day and age, so just reporting things that are coming out. But Orr has attempted to run this play several times before and had finally found a willing enabler and filed this ludicrous lawsuit as a cynical attempt to drum up attention in the middle of his latest book tour. Didn't know he was currently doing a book tour now as well. The Tui family said always been upfront and about how a conservatorship works, from which not one penny was received, and was established to assist with Orr's needs, ranging from getting him health insurance and obtaining a driver's license to helping with college admission. The family also said it would not prevent the former NFL player from ending the conservatorship. Anyone with a modicum of common sense can see that outlandish claims made by Michael Orr and the Tui family are hurtful and absurd. The idea that the Tuis ever sought out a profit off of Orr is not only offensive, it is transparently ridiculous. The notion that a couple worth hundreds of millions of dollars would convene to withhold a few thousands of dollars of profit for participation anyone, let him know that he is a loved son, defies disbelief. They filed a petition. Michael Fletcher, ESPN, reported that Michael Orr filed that 14-page petition in a Tennessee court, alleging, the things that we talked about. He alleged the lie of Michael's adoption is one upon the co-conservators Leanne Tui and Sean Tui have enriched themselves at the expense of their ward, the undersigned Michael Orr. So again, Jay, any more thoughts to add to this?
The moral of the story is, do it from the heart. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that's what they're trying to kind of put out there.
Yeah, and whatever you do, if you do a good deed, don't publicize it. Just do it from the heart. And
well, they made a book and a movie about this one. So tough to not publicize.
There's my moral of the story.
Yeah,
but,
there you go. There you go. But ain't Britney Spears. I don't know if I get that one. I wasn't paying attention. Too many people text me while we're on this show.
Gotcha.
But Alan, when we get back, I want to talk about some of the biggest draft busts since 1990 and get your thoughts on them. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your touchdown headquarters for the Mosley Dolphins and the Auburn Tigers. Plus, premier college and NFL games. Your source for the most live football on the Gulf Coast in a rich audio experience.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Take your next adventure in an eco-friendly, all-electric Kia EV6 that gives you the movement that inspires. You can live fully charged while saving now and down the road on fuel costs. Schedule a test drive today and explore the electrified Kia vehicles at Bill Bird Kia. You have to drive it to believe it. Now offering $7,500 EV lease bonus when you lease a new 2023 Kia EV6 Wind Electric all-wheel drive for 36 months. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology with a performance that minimizes the impact of our environment. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. See us today at 2435 East 15th Street or BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. We make it easy to switch to EV ownership and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Close-in lease based on a new 2023 Kia EV6, model number N5452. No security deposit required. $7,500 EV lease bonus not available for cash. Subject to credit approval, dealer participation, and vehicle availability. $49.99 due at signing for well-qualified leases. See dealer for complete details. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 9/5/23.
Hi, this is Matt Lewis with Reliable Hydraulic Solutions. We offer comprehensive diagnostics and repair service for all types of hydraulic units, such as hydraulic and pneumatic cylinders, hydraulic pumps, motors, and valves, as well as a broad range of hydraulic hoses and O-rings. Give us a call at Reliable Hydraulic Solutions at 850-326-3000 for any of your hydraulic needs.
Visit their new location, Highway 77, south of Tractor Supply.
Back to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios.
It's alive! Look alive!
We're alive!
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Living in a gangster's paradise.
Yes, sir.
That's your life, Jay.
Coolio.
Rest in peace, right? Coolio passed?
Yeah.
Okay. Bummer.
Yeah.
It's too bad. Is Weird Al Yankovic still rolling around somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know.
David shaking his head. Yes. You brought a laptop today. You could do something with it.
I could.
It's like your white piece of paper in your binder where you wrote what eagles eat.
Right.
Very interesting.
That was very interesting.
Yeah, what do eagles eat?
They eat live mammals.
And?
They don't eat dead carcasses.
They're not a scavenger like a turkey vulture.
That's right.
Which a lot of people get confused for eagles.
Right.
If you see the huge big black bird with the wings and there's no white on them, probably a turkey vulture.
#America.
I don't think turkey vulture is what we're representing America
Eagles.
with.
Eagles.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. #America. Is that just an M or is there an AM?
Just M.
Just M?
Just America.
America.
Yeah.
The problem with those hashtags is you can't put the apostrophes where you want to put them because then it separates the hashtag.
That's true. Does that bother you?
It does.
Does it?
It
Yeah,
does.
I can tell.
It does. It does bother me. Like when you're doing marketing stuff and you're posting hashtags.
Right.
Like, how do I end a statement with an exclamation point, but it be the hashtag the last thing? You can't. You can't do it. Because you can, but then you gotta put a space and then it looks stupid.
Start trending it. Like, keep doing it.
I don't know if I could trend because nobody can click on it because that exclamation
JP to
point.
do it.
Yeah, JP.
Heat man.
Yes.
It's solid.
Alan, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I knew you'd be there. So let's take a look at this. We've been talking a lot of topic of conversation since last week's preseason game is Trey Lance and how awful he looked. And, it's all about reps. We go back to experience. Experience matters. That's why a lot of people, weren't surprised that Brock Purdy had so much success. Not only being in Kyle Shanahan's system certainly helps, and he progresses fast with reads and does it. But the reps he had in college is, that makes a huge difference regardless of what, conference and all that you're playing in. So good.
I just don't understand how anybody could watch Trey Lance like 2 games in college, look at his pro day, and think that he was a top 3 pick. It still baffles me. It's along the same lines as people who said Will Levis was a top 5 quarterback or something like that. Like they wanted him drafted early on too. Like there's just some fundamental flaws in his mechanics, and then in the way he processes when you're watching the games that would make me not want to pick him in the top 3. Like maybe later in the first round or even early second round, I can understand. But when you pick somebody in the top 3, you're essentially saying they are a franchise guy, and he has never possessed franchise guy quality.
Yeah, and it's kind of why I know Anthony Richardson's comparing apples to oranges with Trey Lance. But, I think Anthony Richardson started 13 games in college.
Yeah, I can find film on Anthony Richardson. You really can't find much on Trey Lance. Well,
and even in high school, he passed for like less than 120 attempts or something like that. So, and that all matters when you get to that NFL level. So with all that being said, Trey Lance will probably go down as one of those big-time first-round draft busts. So I want to dive into some of these other ones. A couple names we may know, a couple names we may not know. According to, let me see who put this out and give him some credit. This is John Breach. He's a CBS NFL sports writer. This is the 10 biggest draft busts since 1990, going back to your heyday there, Jay. Back in the early 90s when you were a young buck running around the streets of Griffin, Georgia. Yeah.
Can we give a disclaimer?
Yes.
That prior to like maybe 2016, the NFL was unwilling to work with some quarterbacks because they wouldn't fit the NFL's idea of a quarterback. So some of these guys were bust because they probably didn't have a good staff around them.
Gotcha. Not bust because of their ability, but bust because of outside sources there helping them.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 10 is Vernon Gholston. He was a 6th overall pick by the New York Jets, of all teams. He was at Ohio State. At the time, he had the Ohio State single-season sack record of 14 in 2007. That was recently busted by Chase Young back in 2019. So a record that stood there for a long time. He ended up getting $18 total million as a rookie. He signed a contract then that he had never recorded a single sack in his career. Although the Jets thought they'd be paying for a pass rusher, Gholston didn't really end up doing much pass rushing. During 3 seasons in New York, he tallied 0 sacks, and the Jets ended up finally dumping him back in the 2010 season. Alan, do you remember that name at all?
I do remember that name, and I did not know he didn't have a sack in 3 years.
A single sack in 3 years after breaking the Ohio State single-season record. So that one may be a little bit of on him, maybe on the organization a little bit. A lot of these aren't quarterbacks. 2014 cornerback Justin Gilbert. He was drafted by the Browns 8th overall. Johnny Manziel might be the biggest. He's not on this list, which I'm a little bit surprised, but I think because of how quickly he exited. The 2014 draft was that same draft as Johnny Manziel. Browns went to the draft with the 4th overall pick, but then traded down to number 9. That allowed them to eventually get Justin Gilbert, a quarterback, with the 8th overall pick. After all that wheeling and dealing, the Browns ended up drafting Gilbert. He played exactly 23 games for them over 2 years. Just before the 2016 season, he was traded away to the Steelers. Nothing says we're giving up totally on you like trading a player to a division rival. He was a first-round pick. He ended up making $10.66 million out of his brief NFL career. You remember that name, Alan?
I don't. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't remember that one either. but didn't only lasted a couple years in the league. But again, another first-round pick, top 10, 8th overall. Next is a name we'll know. That's wide receiver Justin Blackmon. He was drafted 5th overall by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they actually traded up to get him. They moved up to number 5 in a trade with Tampa, and Blackmon had an impressive rookie season, 64 receptions for 865 yards, but his season was particularly derailed after multiple suspensions. He only played 4 games in 2013 and hasn't played since. Before the 2012 draft, one Pro Football Hall of Famer referred to Blackmon as the Dez Bryant, but with all his brain cells. Obviously, that didn't pan out. Do you remember that name there, Alan?
Oh, yeah, I was a huge Blackmon fan, and I was about to say he had a Dez comp, and it was so spot on. But man, it's still him and Gordon are still like the most baffling guys. Like, bro, just put the weed down for like 2 days.
Now you can do it, right? They made it legal in the NFL. Jay, I'm asking you that question.
No, I Justin Blackmon.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, honorable mentions for Jaguars also Blaine Gabbert in 2011. He was the 10th overall pick. We don't need to dive into him because we know. Number 7, I'm going to go a little bit faster to get to the top of these lists, was this is a long time ago, 1992 defensive end Steve Emtman, E-M-T-M-A-N. Emtman, he was a bust, not because he didn't live up to expectations. He just struggled with a lot of injuries. In 3 seasons with the Colts, he missed 30 total games due to a bunch of injuries, torn patellar tendon, et cetera. But he was the first overall pick in 1992. That's a tough one to swallow, that's for sure.
Yeah.
1994 quarterback Heath Shuler. He was the 3rd overall pick out of Washington. Washington was by the Washington Redskins at the time. Now they're the Commanders. They were in dire need of a starting quarterback, and they decided to draft 2 of them. In 1994, they took Shuler with the 3rd overall pick, and then followed that up by taking another quarterback in the 7th round, which a name we probably remember a little better, Gus Frerotte. Shuler was the starter for 13 games over 2 seasons, but eventually lost that starting job to Gus Frerotte. When you're the 3rd overall pick, ironically, Trey Lance was the 3rd overall pick, Jay, and you lose your job to the 197th overall pick, that makes you a bust. Man, the parallels between that and Brock Purdy. What do you think, Alan?
I think that anytime the team from Washington ever drafts 2 quarterbacks, you can guarantee the second one is the better one.
There you go.
Would these be a top 10 of hot to not versus not to hot? I mean, you go from hot to not.
That's a good question. I would say hot to not, because if you're getting drafted in the top 10, you should be hot.
Yeah.
But there's a big difference between the college and the NFL for a lot of different reasons. Number 5 on this list was Lawrence Phillips. He was drafted 6th overall by the Rams in 1996. He got in a lot of trouble when he was in Nebraska, accused of multiple crimes. The Rams still decided to take a risk on him in the 1996 draft. Ended up backfiring. Once he got in the NFL, Phillips was unable to stay out of trouble, and the Rams ended up releasing him before he even finished his 2nd season. Do you remember that one at all, Alan?
I remember that one for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
The Niners picked up Lawrence Phillips. He missed the block on Aeneas Williams, and we lost Steve Young forever.
That's right. Yeah. That should be the reason why he's a bust right there.
Yeah.
Man, Charles Rogers, 2003, Lions wide receiver. Haven't got to any quarterbacks yet. No, we got to one. We had one quarterback.
Okay.
Yep. He was the 2nd overall pick in 2003. The Lions thought they could succeed in the NFL by using all their first-round picks on wide receivers, and that started with Charles Rogers, who ended up being a total bust. You remember him, Alan?
Yeah, I remember that. It was awful.
Yeah, he only ended up playing 15 games in 3 total seasons, but then dropping out of the NFL due to multiple injuries and drug problems. And then, rest in peace, he died in November of 2019 due to liver failure at the age of 38.
So these guys basically went from here into what probably built the Canadian Football League, perhaps, or some indoor league, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. Probably not these particular fellas, because they all seem to, different things happened. But yeah, I mean, you got the XFL now. You got the
USFL.
Yeah. I do like the XFL, though. I don't know why. I just like it.
Extreme.
It's not extreme, though. They're actually playing like real football with some different rules.
Yeah.
It's not the original XFL that came out. Quarterback by the Bengals, I think it's Achilles Smith. He was drafted by the Bengals in 1999 as the 3rd overall pick. The Bengals were so horrible at drafting during the 90s that we could probably made an entire article of draft busts concerning just their picks. But for Smith, he ended up making the case being higher on the list because he's what the Bengals gave up to get him. God, this is the parallels are getting crazy. The Bengals had a chance to trade out of the number 3 spot in the draft, a deal that would have brought him an embarrassment of riches. Saints coach Mike Ditka was trying to trade up from the 12th spot so he could grab Ricky Williams. Ditka wanted Williams so badly that he offered the Bengals a total of 9 picks so he can move up to the 3rd spot. Had the Bengals accepted that deal, they would have landed New Orleans 1st, 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 7th round selections in 1999. So that's where kind of, we got it, just like that. The clock, it's about a minute behind. Hey, Alan, we got to jump off. It was all getting to, you know who number 1 is in the biggest bust. You can just go ahead and say it.
Oh, is it Ryan Leaf?
No, he's number 2.
Oh.
Yep.
Marcus Russell?
Yeah, videotape guy.
Okay.
Or DVD guy, watching blank video DVDs and giving them film. But anyway, we got Keith coming up at the top of the hour. If you want to give us a call in that segment, we can take 2 phone calls. But we're going to jump into Keith Fleming's picks of the week. We got the BMW Championship coming up this week, so we'll be joined by him here as soon as we get back. Thank you, Alan, very much. Hopefully we'll talk to you soon. You're listening to The Inside Drive live on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Set your alarm clock to wake up with the Coach Hales Show on ESPN Northwest Florida. In-depth local and college sports from expert insiders and a dash of controversy.
Can be deadly.
Weekday mornings 7 to 9.
Nothing says good morning like a drunken human alarm clock.
We're live from the J. Michaels studio.
We all know he loves the Florida Gators, but that's okay.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
I can control the world.
Good morning. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For this afternoon and evening, likely thunderstorms and very light rain and a high of 87 with a 10 to 15 miles per hour wind out of the southwest. A possibility of thunderstorms and light rain tonight and quite warm near 81. Possible thunderstorms most of the day aside from some sun in evening and 88 tomorrow. 90 and sunshine Friday. This is your Wednesday's weather brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Home to the NFL. WGSX Lynn Haven. WVLQ Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're starting fresh.
Fresh new start.
Locally sourced. Farm to radio. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is live and local. From the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome. There's a lot going on right now that I'm trying to figure out. Jay's leaving right before the segment starts. I don't know if we have Keith on the line yet or not. But you are listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC. I know, you missed it. I know. We do it every time at 12, and you're like, oh, the segment's coming up. I'll just walk out of the studio.
This is what happens when you have live radio.
That's right, and you bring a laptop.
That's
your whole world's changed.
That's right.
It's a lot going on.
Yes,
a lot going on. But you are listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Florida, sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. Go check them out at 2251 West 23rd Street. You can give the dealership a call at 850-250-1403, or you can call Kramer Marine and Outdoor at 850-851-0453. And it is Wednesday, Jay, and it is afternoon here in the Central Time Zone.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
That means Afternoon Delight and Keith Fleming.
God, you almost swung and missed on that one. Keith, how are you doing on this beautiful hot Wednesday afternoon?
Actually, it's kind of nice in Georgia today. I don't want to jinx it.
It was 82 this morning at 7 o'clock instead of 89, so that was a little bit better.
There you go.
Yeah, it's actually not that humid here today. And, lately we've practically been a humidor, so I'm definitely not complaining. I am ready, though, for maybe this temperature to break, as much as that sounds crazy as somebody who likes to golf. It's a little too much this year. Like, summer, you're drunk, go home. Let's get to a little cooler temperatures.
Keith, in one word, describe the vibe inside the perimeter up there in Atlanta for these Falcons coming up in the next couple of weeks. What's one word to describe the vibe?
Just one word? Can I use a hyphen and say cautiously optimistic?
Okay, that's fair. That's one word. It's hyphened.
I think that's where most Falcons fans are. Of course, I've talked myself into they are going to compete for the division, have a great chance. And again, if you have not done this exercise, go look at their quarterbacks that they will face this year. It is the opposite of a murder's row. But I think overall, Falcons fans, again, I've said this before on here, I'll say it again, we're kind of all dead inside after the Super Bowl, loss. It just, we obviously want them to do well. We root for them. But I don't think anything is going to surprise a Falcons fan anymore, and we've learned to not get our hopes up too much because you're just kind of waiting for the other shoe to fall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, Keith.
I mean, you would know if you were still a Falcons fan.
That's true. I was going to say he's coming up to Atlanta this Friday, but not for an Atlanta Falcons game. He's going for a Cincinnati Bengals game, according to him.
Well, he's going because he's got some really
I heard about that.
If you know what I mean.
Yes. That's the only reason he's going. He's all bougie. He can't just go sit with the common folk.
It's real nice. I'm not going to lie.
Real nice.
Real nice.
Not hating on him at all. He's going to have a great time.
Yeah.
Glad for him and the kids.
Yes.
There you go. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
A little preseason action.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You going to bet on the game?
Maybe. Can you bet on preseason games?
You can, but don't do that. No, don't do that, Jay.
Okay.
Not a good idea.
Okay.
And also, I've warned you, you need to have a discussion with your kids before you get there. This is not a normal football experience because otherwise, with this being their first game, they're like, oh, this is great. I'll come to a football game whenever. And then next time when you're in the nosebleeds, 2 inches from two people that weigh 300 pounds, you're probably not going to be quite as excited to be there.
I got you. So, yeah, this is we're going to be riding in a Cadillac, is what you're saying. Where these
exactly,
yes,
and
yeah.
they need to understand that.
Okay.
When I was young, I got some opportunities like that. I did not know that, and I'll never forget the first time I had the nerve to ask my mom and dad, "What's up with these seats?" As you can imagine, that did not go well.
Right. Yeah. First class.
Perspective is everything. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. Yeah, I remember when we went up to the Falcons-Niners game last year. We were tailgating with a bunch of Niners fans, throwing football around, eating other people's food. It was a great time.
Yes,
it was a day game, so I felt a little safer.
Didn't have a great time during the game, though.
No. That was so disappointing. And then all the Falcons fans were talking so much trash after the game. I'm like, half of our team was injured. We didn't have Bosa. We didn't have
We don't
Warner.
care.
Did Falcons win? Did the Falcons?
Yeah, the Falcons beat the Niners.
28-14.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, they really didn't have anybody playing, but
yeah, the Niners. Half the Niners defense was out, but that's neither here nor there. You still got to play the game.
That's right.
Injuries are part of football.
Yes.
All right, let's talk a little bit about golf. Last week up there in the state capital of Tennessee, playing in the FedEx St. Jude Classic, Lucas Glover goes back-to-back, and you were very high on Lucas Glover again in your predictions last week. So let's dive right into the golf tournament recap and diving in. And then the next segment, Jay, you're gonna ask Keith a fantasy football question, and I can't wait to hear what it is.
Yes. Me neither. I do want to ask you guys right off the top, would you take Lucas Glover right now or Prime Tiger 2001, 2002 circa?
Prime Tiger.
Prime Tiger.
Okay.
Yes.
I just making sure because I mean it's pretty impressive. I mean, in all seriousness, this is like uncharted territories. He won a second consecutive event in Memphis, his third event in 7 starts. He also has 3 top 5s in those 7 starts. If you follow me on Twitter, and you should, that's at Keith Fleming, KeithFleming, or listen to my guest appearance on Clubhouse Picks. You know, I loved Glover at 75-1. I understood why so many people were off him for the regular season finale because he had not won in a real field. The Barbasol, no offense to that event, was kind of a secondary event. However, I did not understand why people were so afraid to pull the trigger last week when he was 75-1 in a limited field. So he only had to beat 69 other guys. And this is the stat that just is unreal. He had, going into last week, had rounds in the 60s in 17 of his last 18 start. That number is now 21 of 22 of 69 or better. 11 of those 22 rounds he shot 66 or better. Just unbelievable golf. And it has reminded, I hope, the golfing world that all of these guys are really good ball strikers, right? Like they all are superior ball strikers. Some are so good that if they're not a great putter, you know, they can get away with it. They'll win, have a really successful career. Other guys are maybe not in that elite ball striking level, but when they putt well, you know, that's kind of the great equalizer. But if you give a guy a run like this is what it would be like if Rory Scheffler could putt week in and week out. And it's what Tiger did in his heyday, which I think is the most lost on it, was not only was he the best ball striker on tour, he was also the best putter. It's just incredible to see. And I am fascinated to see what Glover does these last 2 weeks because this event sets up well for him, too. There's a lot of stats and data looking at this week where I'm only doing 6 plays, so I did not include Glover in those 6 official plays. But I'm not going to knock anybody wanting to take him 35-1 this week, and I'm definitely not going to knock anybody that wants to put him in his DK lineup because he has a chance to have a very special finish that we have not seen for the FedEx ever. If he can win, say, one of these last 2 events as well, to where he wins 3 of the last 4 events of the year, some unreal stuff could still happen.
Well, and we were talking, Jay brought it up earlier in the show, and how he even said in his press conferences, back in May, 2 months ago, he said, somebody asked him, do you think you would be where you are now? And he said, absolutely not. Yep. And we were kind of saying, you got JT, who's kind of on the struggle bus, and then Lucas Glover was struggling there for a while, and then all of a sudden, little putter change, gets a little confidence, and all of a sudden he's playing some fantastic golf. And I love the fact that, on that par 3 16th in the final round this past weekend, he hits in the water, not a great shot. A lot of guys probably fold in that particular situation, and he knocks it up there and then drains like a 30-foot putt for bogey and goes and makes birdie the next hole. Yeah. That shows where somebody's head's at to me. But go ahead, Keith.
Also reminds you that he's a U.S. Open, champion. He has always proven he has the mental toughness. It's just unfortunate for him. He's always been, I hate to say it's by any pro golfer, but for a professional golfer, he's an awful putter. And I actually know the guys at Lab Golf. I have a Lab Golf putter. I use it for when I'm practicing because they make the grips. I'm not sure if Glover's is this way where it automatically puts your hands slightly forward. So it's a great teaching tool. But I'm just really happy for those guys because they've caught a lot of grief because their putters are ugly. They're not going to win any beauty contests. But there is no doubt that the data shows over and over again these guys that are swapping to these putters are finding success. One other question real quick. He's anchoring the putter. Is it just it's got to be anchored to your body? Because it's definitely touching his clothing.
You can't anchor it to your body. Like, you can have it, tucked into your arm a little bit, and it's certainly touching, okay. But you can't, the access point, or whatever you call that, can't be on your body.
The butt end of the club.
Yeah. So there's a lot of talk about that, too, with these guys who use those long putters. Who used it? It was DeChambeau that used to have it locked into his forearm. I still don't know if he does that or not. He's not on the PGA Tour, so he doesn't count.
That.
Yeah.
Well, and I was watching
Adam Scott too, right? Is he still using the long putter?
Oh, it hurt him. Yep.
Yeah. Now, I was watching Glover, kind of breaking down his golf swing last night, and they were talking about how you can over-rotate in the golf swing and really turn too much. And if you really analyze Glover's swing, he does not rotate a lot on the ball. He doesn't pivot 100%. And, he's one of the best ball strikers on tour. And so you don't really have to over-rotate in this game to hit the ball. You don't want to over-rotate in this game. That's my 2 cents.
I know all about that, Jay. That's my biggest, flaw in my swing is I over-rotate. There's too much, again, being so skinny.
Yeah.
And that's something I constantly try not to do is overturn. Keep it compact, right?
Right.
And he does. To me, he just has an absolutely gorgeous golf swing.
Yes.
Very repeatable. Very few guys can hit what I call a butter draw. He hits a butter draw, which is just a thing of beauty when it's working.
When it's working, yes. As long as it doesn't get out of control. That's what scares me about the old draw.
Oh, yeah. You can't talk to a draw. You can talk to a fade.
You can't talk to a fade.
Yep.
All right, one other thing before we get into this week's, the Ryder Cup. We now are at a point where Scheffler, Clark, Cantley, they look like there's almost no way they could fall out of the top 6. Harman, Koepka, and Homa are next. Almost everyone agrees, and I think rightfully so, that Xander and Spieth are in. That leaves 4 spots for Cam Young, Morikawa, Bradley, Burns, Fowler, JT, Denny McCarthy, and Glover. There is no way I'm leaving Lucas Glover off this team if he plays well the next 2 weeks. Do y'all agree?
I don't know how you could.
Yeah.
Was right. You go, shoot, if he ends up winning the FedEx Cup thing, because the captain's picks are the 28th of this month, I believe, so
correct.
Still have 2 more tournaments, this tournament and the Tour Championship, to affect those Ryder Cup points. Harman didn't have a great week last week, and he dropped a spot in those Ryder Cup
Well, now,
rankings.
hold on. I do want to say, because I've heard that a lot, he was off for a month, and he finished 31st in a 70-man field. I don't consider that bad. If you look at guys after a major win, typically they don't play very well coming back. He had a bad first round and then shot 68 or better the last 3 days. So I actually think that I've heard that narrative a lot, and I don't think that's necessarily fair with Harman because, again, he had not played since the Open.
Yeah, that's true. Couple 3 weeks ago? Something like that?
Yeah.
4 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago. But yeah, I think he's still locked in points wise. It would take some crazy stuff to knock him out of that top 6, I think. But yeah, go ahead.
I think they need to go after guys that, again, are good putters and can scramble, because I think that has been the issue with American teams over the years is we don't have guys that make putts, and there are some very good putters from 9 down. And that would be number 1 on my list. And that's why, to me, Glover would be an automatic, because now he is, we're going on 8 tournaments worth of data where he's gaining over points, I think now 8 shots per event on the greens. And that is where Ryder Cups are won or lost. And I think where Americans consistently make mistakes in the captain's picks or with the players that they have is we don't have great putters, and you need them.
Yeah, you have to. It's just like playing in a scramble. You win the scramble because you're putting. You don't you lose it because you're putting, not because you're driving and all that. Yeah. And that's where, I think they got some guys locked in there for sure. But with Lucas Glover floating around and Ricky Fowler and those guys, I think you got to go with the hot hands. That's my opinion.
I agree.
See what Zach and Jim do.
Nothing.
Completely agree.
Yeah, he's more American. To me, Lucas Glover's more American than most. Yeah, he just. The chaw chewing, he used to chew chaw back in the day, but I don't think he does anymore. But
yeah, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. I love you, Jack.
What's your definition of why someone's more American than someone else?
He's just American. He's just he's a Clemson graduate. So
Clemson's more American than Georgia? What if he graduated from Georgia?
That's who I'm picking emotionally. That's who I'm picking
to win the FedEx
for the Ryder Cup.
Oh, for the Ryder Cup. Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Keith, keep going.
I love you guys. So the BMW Championship is this week, second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. I am so jacked about this event, guys. It's a 50-man field, top 50 players. By the way, these guys are locked in next year for that elevated event, so good for them.
Signature.
A lot of cash. Yep.
Get that PGA Tour un-American lingo going.
It's a lot. Amen to that. it's a lot of cash for these guys. But what I'm excited about is where they're playing. Olympia Fields Country Club.
I'm so amped about that, too. Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, man, it's going to be great. Like, we don't have a lot of data, full disclosure. There's only been one event here in the last 2 decades, but this venue has hosted a pair of U.S. Opens and PGA Championships throughout its rich history. It gives a feel and difficulty you normally see in major championships, so I love that. This is a week the gambling gods, they kind of gave us one final take-your-shot event on this schedule because you can take chances on your betting card and in DraftKings lineups due to that limited data and a limited field. So it's really, it would not shock me. There's probably 30 names this week that you could convince me could end up winning. I leaned into players who had success at this venue in 2020. They had the BMW Championship here in 2020. I paired those results with players who score well on par fours. They scramble around the greens. And the big thing for me is they play difficult venues well this season. It's a par 70 course. One thing I will say, it's going to play much longer than it did in 2020. Apparently this area has been pounded with rain this year. So I do think it's going to play maybe not quite as firm and fast, but I still think it's going to play extremely difficult. And I actually think that playing a little bit longer will help some of the guys that are more accurate off the tee and not quite as long. I know that kind of seems counterintuitive, but remember, softer greens mean that if you're hitting a 4-iron into a green, but you hit it just as well as somebody who hits, say, a 7-iron the same distance, it's giving the 4-iron player, in my opinion, an advantage because they can actually stop it like a 7-iron to where, the guy hitting a 7-iron already has that advantage. This is a normal par 70 setup, 2 par 5s, 4 par 3s, 12 par 4s. Not really an easy hole on this course. Both par 5s are 600-plus yards. All 12 par 4s, guys, in 2020 played over par. So it is going to be hold on to your butts. Basically, the second this round starts, it features very penal rough at 4 inches long. It's bent grass throughout. That's the greens, fairways, everything. In 2020, the players who found the most success excelled in total driving, that is driving accuracy and driving distance combined, scrambling, and bogey avoidance. There are 8 par 4s that play 450-plus yards. And again, none of the 12 par 4s played under par in 2020. For golf courses, I didn't use any this week, guys. I looked strictly at the 2020 results and then zoned in on these data points, which for me, strokes gained total driving, which again, that's distance and accuracy, bogey avoidance, par 4 scoring, proximity 125 to 175 yards. Over 30% of the approaches in 2020 came from this distance. That is higher than your normal tour average. Strokes gained putting, bent grass. And again, I really looked at how a player has done on difficult venues this year. That's like your TP Sawgrass, the Muirfield, Augusta, etc., some of these other major championships. And this week, I'm only going to do 6 plays, an official lineup, because I just didn't want to go through, giving too many plays on 50 guys. So I am going to anchor my lineup with Hideki Matsuyama, 9,400. My goodness, did he kick his game into gear when he needed to last week. He played the final 6 holes, 5 under, to barely move inside the top 50 at the 47th spot. He is vying for his 10th consecutive trip to East Lake, the PGA's final event of the year. And if you think about it, with just 30 players going, that is a really impressive feat. He's one of 5 players in the field who finished under par at this event in 2020, where he finished T3rd. On the year, he has 11 top 25 finishes. He's top 10 in the field in difficult scoring conditions and stroke gained approach. He's one of the 9 players, and this is a stat that I used, you'll see several of my plays are from it, who's above average in strokes gained off the tee, par 4 scoring on holes 450 plus, strokes gained around the greens, and strokes gained approach. Over his last 3 events, he's gaining 7.6 strokes tee to green, 7.3 on approach. He is ball striking very well. He's in better form than he actually was in 2020 when he played at this event at the same time of the year. Remember, he finished T3rd that year. He typically thrives on courses, in my opinion, that de-emphasize putting. I think putting is going to be de-emphasized this week. I like that for Hideki. Second, we got Tyrell Hatton, 9,000. He finished T16th at the BMW held here in 2020. He's, again, one of the 9 players in the field above average in strokes gained tee to green, around the greens, bogey avoidance, and par 4 scoring on 450-plus yards. He fits the bill for the player that I'm looking for this week. He's 9th in par 4 scoring, 18th in scrambling on tour this year. He's gained strokes tee to green and off the tee in every event since this event last year. It was at a different venue. That is 17 straight events that he's gained strokes tee to green and off the tee on the field. He's played difficult courses well this year. Top 5 finishes at Bay Hill, TPC Sawgrass, and Quail Hollow. He started poorly last week with a round of 2 over 72, but finished the tournament with 3 straight round in the 60s. Russell Henley, 8,200.
I'm going to stop you right there, Keith. We'll carry these next 4 over into the next segment as we'll jump on a break, and then we'll get Jay's big fantasy football questions for you. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida, joined by Keith Fleming. We'll be right back.
It's here. The 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app, version 2.0. Now featuring ultra-high fidelity. You'll feel like you're in the game. Plus, more opportunities to win weekly prizes from local businesses when you click it to win it. Download the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app today at Google Play or the Apple Store.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Wednesday. Likely thunderstorms and light sprinkles the rest of the day with a wind coming out of the southwest at 11 miles per hour and 87. Tonight, look for possible thunderstorms and light sprinkles with a temperature near 81. Tomorrow, high around 88 and possible thunderstorms much of the day, but with some sun in the evening. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Wow, it's another school year already. On your way to drop off the kids at school, why not stop by Krispy Kreme Donuts and pick up a dozen or 2 specialty donuts to celebrate another school year? The kids will love them, right, kids? Krispy Kreme Donuts in front of HCA Hospital, 23rd Street, Panama City, and Ross Clark Circle in Dothan.
Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, this is Tim.
Do y'all sell bait?
Yes, we seasonally stock live shrimp, live bull minnows, live sand fleas, live fiddler crabs, earthworms, night crawlers, crickets. We also stock frozen shrimp, sand fleas, mullets, squid, pre-rigged ballyhoo, bonita, stingray, cigar minnows, Boston mackerel, Spanish mackerel, and a few other miscellaneous baits. It's worth the drive to buy premium locally sourced bait from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
Suffer from political talk radio fatigue? Tune into the most fun and exciting new radio show on the Gulf Coast. It's The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. From the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. As every Wednesday, we are joined on the line by Keith Fleming. Let's pick it right back up. Keith, you've got Hideki Matsuyama first pick. You've got Terrell Hatton second pick. Who you got next coming up?
Yeah, I think you can kind of see there's a theme. I'm going for guys that just know how to ball strike, get around a golf course. Did you see the stat about Terrell Hatton? They have this IBM Solutions Award that they give each year for players that make the best decisions. He's winning it, which
That's
when I read
surprising.
that, I'm going, that is the last thing I would ever think about Terrell Hatton, as he makes the best decisions on a golf course. So computers don't know everything. Just remember that. Russell Henley, 8,200 is third in my lineup. Go Dogs. I feel a lot like I did about Henley for the Wyndham Championship. I think he's a very safe play that I expect to do well in this event, but I don't feel great about his chances to win. That doesn't mean I'm against putting a few bucks on him at 30 to 1 to win, but he's kind of like a Fleetwood guy for me, that he can be there a lot, but he just seems to never be able to get it done when it matters. But for Henley, the big thing, he's number 1 on tour in driving accuracy. I think he's going to gain a huge advantage if he can hit fairways here, which he will, and avoid gnarly rough at Olympia Fields. He's also top 10 in the field in strokes gained approach and tee to green. He finished T25 at Olympia Fields in 2020, so I like the fact that he played this event. He did pretty well. That would have been, I believe, a 70-player field, so 25th, top third. He has top 20 finishes this season at other difficult courses, including Augusta, LA Country Club, and Muirfield Village. I really leaned in on golfers who play difficult courses in my lineup this week. I think Rahm came out yesterday and said he thinks his course is going to play a little bit easier than it did in 2020. I don't know if I buy that, but we will see. But either way, I think it's going to play as the most difficult venue over the playoffs this year. And that's saying something when East Lake is one of your three venues. Brian Harman, go Dogs again in this lineup, 8,100. I mentioned it when we talked about it earlier. He finished 31st last week in his first event since the Open 4 weeks prior. I love the fact that he played great over the weekend. He had 3 rounds of 68 or better to finish the tournament. No surprise that he got off to a slow start. Look at, like Jason Day when they got their win, how he played afterwards. Ricky Fowler kind of struggled a little bit immediately after his win. This guy won a major championship, so it's no surprise that he wasn't his sharpest, but I like that he still rebounded and had a good week. He's tailor-made for this venue. It was a big reason he finished T12 at Olympia in this event in 2020, the last time they had an event here. He hits it straight off the tee, consistently hits greens in regulation. He is near 70% in both of those statistics. Olympia Fields has 12 par 4s that, remember, all played over par in 2020. The fact Harman is number 1 on tour this season in scrambling, I think, could be a huge factor, much like at the Open Championship, where if he gets in contention, he won't lose strokes as often as some of the other players who are going to miss greens because he's so good at getting it up and down. He's top 10 in driving accuracy and par 4 scoring this season on tour. He's still in great form. He plays difficult courses well, and I think that he has excelled especially at courses that put emphasis on driving the ball positionally well, which he did at the Open and done at some other venues this year, and scrambling when you miss greens in regulation. There is, in a lot of ways, this feels to me like it did the week of the Open Championship for him. I definitely would not be afraid to put some money on him to top 5 or to win. Fifth in my lineup, Cam Davis, 7,800. I tried to not go with guys this week that I think are going to be high owned, but I kept going back to Cam. He is going to be high owned. I know that, but he's coming off 3 consecutive top 10 finishes. He shot 67 or better in 8 of his last 12 rounds, 69 or better in 11 of 12. At Olympia Fields in 2020, gaining strokes off the tee and around the greens were vital to a player who finished inside the top 10 that week. Davis excels in both, as he's top 15 in both of those categories over the last 2 weeks in strong fields. His strokes gained numbers across the board are very similar to Lucas Glover's before his back-to-back win. He's gaining over 2 strokes per event in every major strokes gain category except for putting. This week, the greens are bent grass, and that is the surface that he putts the best on by a significant margin. He has top 10 finishes this season at other difficult venues, including TPC Sawgrass, Oak Hill, and Harbor Town. Over Davis's last 5 events in the United States, his worst finish is 33rd with 4 top 20s and 3 top 10s. We've talked about him on 2 off the tee that we're reaching that point with Cam Davis where it's kind of time to, do something, or you're going to be like Fleetwood. And I hate to keep bringing up Fleetwood, but I mean that I expect big things from Davis. He's got all the talent in the world. A lot of people think he's the next great Australian player. I can see that, but he's reaching an age where if he can't get those W's on tour, he's just a really good golfer that you can't trust to win. I like Davis this week. I think he's got a real chance of winning. Finally, rounding out my lineup, Young Hong An, 7,500. He's quietly finished inside the top 25 in 6 of his last 10 events. This includes 2 top 3 finishes in his last 4 starts. He played very well here in 2020, finishing T12. He plays difficult courses well. He had top 35 finishes this season at TPC Sawgrass, PGA National, and Muirfield Village, all, extremely difficult courses. He's 10th in the field in total driving, which is going to play a huge role for him this week, is when you have a guy that can consistently, because he is long and straight, and he's 7th on tour in scrambling. There are very few guys in this field that are top 15. I think there's 3 of them. On is one of them. He actually has the highest total if you look at his total driving and scrambling number combined. It's going to be vital to drive the ball well. It's going to be vital to scramble when you miss greens here this week. And what I'm most encouraged about On is his recent putting success. He's gained strokes on the field in 3 of his last 5 starts. He is a player for his career who loses an average of half a stroke to a full stroke per event. So that is a significant change. If we have been reminded anything from Lucas Glover the last few weeks, it reminds us what can happen when a superior ball striker starts putting well. I think On's kind of in that place. I really like him at 7,500 this week on DK. This course fits him perfectly, and to me it just says even more so the fact that he has a previous T12 finish, again, in the top 70 players in the world playing this event a few years ago with the only start there. But that is my DK lineup this week. There are plenty of other stats really quickly that I did want to go through, Ryan, because I only gave 6 plays. The 3 that I looked at, top 10 in proximity from 125 to 170 yards. Remember, over 30% of the approaches come from here. That list is Spieth, Rahm, Hovland, Straka, Morikawa, Homa, Rose, Scheffler, Hoge, Glover. Top 10 in total driving distance, which is distance and accuracy combined. That's Cantley, Scheffler, Fleetwood, Hovland, McIlroy, Glover, Kim, Straka, On, and Connors. And then I mentioned, because there were a few of my plays, the 9 players in the field who are above average in strokes gained off the tee, around the green, bogey avoidance, and par 4 scoring on 450-plus holes. We talked about Hideki. We talked about Hatton. But the other guys on this list are Homa, Spieth, Fleetwood, McIlroy, Hovland, Cantley, and Scheffler. The guys I really like this week outside of my picks are Scheffler, Sepp Straka, and I am Lucas Glover again, because, again, he is in the top 10 in that 125 to 170, and he's top 10 in total driving and with the way he's putting. So that is this week's preview of the BMW Championship.
Hard to believe we've got 2 tournaments left.
Man.
And then everything changes next year, Jay.
Yes, it does.
College football is
everything
changing.
changes week 1. Yeah.
Golf is changing, all that particular stuff.
Yeah.
So much change going on. Keith, before we get into Jay's fancy questions for you, want to get your thoughts on the PGA Tour and wearing shorts after this debacle in Memphis and how hot it is. Do you think there's times, I know, tradition in golf is seeming to go by the wayside a little bit more, but do you think there's times that they should be allowed to wear shorts during tournament rounds? I know the PGA Championship, because that's governed by the PGA of America, lets them wear shorts in practice rounds, but do you think we'll ever see a time where shorts would be allowed?
Yes, they should be able to wear shorts. This is the dumbest. This is the typical golf is just like old man yelling at cloud stuff. It's hot. It's 1,000 degrees out there. What difference does it make if they're in shorts or pants? I heard this with hoodies. I heard this when people started listening to music on the golf course. We're trying to grow the game. And if people are watching somebody have so much butt sweat that, like, it looks like a Picasso painting on the back of their backside, it's probably okay to let them wear shorts. And I'd be worried about them having a stroke, for goodness sake. Yeah, I've never understood that rule. To me, what is the difference? Like, we all wear shorts when it's really hot when we play golf. If it's Augusta or something, okay, I'm okay with a private tournament. They can make their own rules. But to prevent people from wearing shorts, who cares?
Who do you think has the worst-looking legs out of all of them out there on the PGA?
We don't know because they don't wear shorts.
Yeah, that's true. Never mind.
Come on.
I mean, to be honest, Jay, I haven't thought about it, but I know you got some nice-looking legs. I played a few rounds with you in some shorts.
Phil's
Thanks, Keith. Yeah, Phil's cat. See, Phil he does.
But he's on the Live Tour where they're allowed to listen to music and wear shorts.
He also had calf implants, though.
That's true.
Okay,
that's true.
I'm kidding. I don't know that.
Yeah, that is not reported as fact here on the Inside Drive. Hey,
well, that's like
maybe something to look into.
Yeah,
you can pretty much get anything done. I'm sure there's calf implants out there. What do you got for Keith? You got you've got 2 drafts coming up, and hard to believe a week from today, Keith, you guys will be traveling down here to the beautiful Panama City Beach, right?
Yeah, we can't wait. We're really excited. Me, the wife, and Nico all coming down, so it's gonna be fun.
Excited to have Nico in studio.
There you go.
He's gonna be excited in studio too. We just gotta make sure he doesn't pee on everything.
Yeah, we want to avoid that. We'd love to hear his insight as well on some of this stuff. But yeah, Jay, what do you got? We got fantasy football drafts coming up. We're full for the ESPN Northwest Florida League. We got the Bay Point Golf Club fantasy football draft coming up on the 30th. So I know you got some questions for him.
I'm entering year 2 in this NFL NFL fantasy draft, so I will be a sophomore this year.
You played in the league last year?
Well, not this. Back in like the early 2000s.
Okay, so there's been a hiatus. Yeah. A lot has changed since then.
One of the things, I'm getting some feedback from some folks, and one of the things that they're saying is never take a defense or a kicker before the last few rounds.
I'll do you one better, Jay.
Okay.
Don't take a kicker or a defense in your draft.
Okay.
They don't matter. You can pick up a free agent right before. I would rather get lucky and get a guy in the draft and say there's an injury the last week of preseason, and a receiver or running back gets in a better position, and it gives you a little extra time to think about what guys you want to do. Because I'm telling you, the defenses particularly is just a straight crapshoot. It's normally about turnovers. It doesn't really have anything to do with how good the defense is or the schedule. It fluctuates season to season. The kickers, obviously a guy like Tucker or whatever, it's going to give you an advantage, but it's so slight. And there's just as likely of a chance that the kicker that you end up just picking up the week of your first game scores just as many points as the kicker that you spent a draft pick on. When there's players out there, my co-host of the DFS show, Joe Matz, actually brought me to his side on this, that why waste a pick during the draft when you're trying to build your team on a position that most weeks it really is luck and doesn't matter, and instead just pick up a kicker or a defense week one, and don't be afraid to do that all year, where you're constantly picking up kickers and defenses depending on the matchup, because there's not a lot of difference in the first kicker and the 12th kicker, or obviously there is in the first defense and the 12th, but we don't know who that first defense is going to be. Okay. And that's why, to me, it makes more sense to just pick guys, and then you can make a decision right before week one and go from there.
So you're telling me I don't have to take a defense or a kicker?
That's literally what he just spent 45 seconds talking about.
All right, I'm just all right. So what about running backs, quarterbacks? I mean, statistically, do you have to have a good quarterback to win your league?
Yes.
I think you do, yes. I think that's one of the biggest misnotions that has kind of came up in the last few years. To me, and I know we've discussed this briefly before, but running backs are where you can find guys. You can find running backs, man. They're everywhere.
Can I take
prime
two?
Example.
Can I
have to take two?
Okay.
I want you to take more than that. I want you to take at least 5 running backs.
This is going to be a glorious
if you're waiting, right?
With you.
So I want you, Jay, to wait. Like, to me, the quarterbacks, there's tiers, right? And if you don't take, like, the Mahomes, the Hurts, the Allen, those guys that are the very top, which I think there's probably 5 this year. If you want to add Fields, I'm okay with that, with his rushing ability. But if you don't get one of those guys, then the next thing that's important to do with the QBs is to get 2 quarterbacks that one is going to be an upside play, right, where you think this guy, if this happens or this happens, could end up having a big year. The other guy should be your steady QB, where, a prime example, this would be a guy like Kirk Cousins, right? Nobody likes that Kirk Cousins is the quarterback of their team or their fantasy team. But you know what Kirk Cousins does? He scores points. He does it week in and week out, and he's somebody that's going to be safe week in, week out. So, I would potentially draft Anthony Richardson, right? Huge upside, going to be running a lot. I know Allen has talked about the offensive coordinator for the Colts is great at scheming to the skills of a QB. But if I'm going to have a guy like Richardson, I need to take somebody that I know is steady for that second quarterback. So then I'd look at somebody like Kirk Cousins or maybe even Aaron Rodgers if he falls in the draft. And then that way you have 2 QBs. If you end up taking one of those top guys, then you want it, to me, you got the top guy, go ahead and take a flyer late. If you believe Desmond Ridder is going to score the same amount of points that Marcus Mariota did last year, take him late. If you're big on Bryce or, any of these guys, I think when you have that stud QB, go ahead and take a flyer late. The other thing is if you take a stud QB, I think it is imperative to pair them up with their number 1 or number 2 option, because as somebody who has had Mahomes and Kelsey in several leagues the last few years, I'm almost to the point where there's not a better first 2 picks you can have than those 2 guys, because not only are they consistently top 3 at their position, you get those double points, right, where you're going to have 8 games a year where they probably score 50-plus points just between the 2 of them, and you're going to have a really good chance to win those weeks.
Okay. All right, good to know.
You didn't write down, type up anything? Is that all still in the head?
He's got my phone number. He knows. I know he's going to be calling me on draft day.
That's right.
That's true.
That's
Well,
right.
you're going to be there for one of the draft days. Maybe y'all get paired in the same league.
Ooh.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That'd be fantastic.
I'll help you either way, though, Jay. I want to help you. I want you to learn this stuff.
So website moving forward. What do I check on Wednesdays, or what day of the week do I need to kind of get serious about my draft? Is it Wednesday?
Well, so first of all, what you need to do is, I can see you, Jay, being somebody. Just print out the ADP list, okay? You can
Do you
go
have
to
a printer?
PFF. There's a ton of good sites.
Because if you
I'm
don't,
sure
we
they
got
do
one
it
at the
Bay
golf
Point.
club. Yeah, we can
There
let
you
you
go.
use
I
it.
knew they did it at Bay Point.
Okay.
You print it out, Jay, and then what you do is have a piece of paper where if there are guys you like way above their ADP, and ADP stands for average draft position, you write their names down on a separate sheet of paper, and don't be afraid to go after guys. But the safest way to be competitive in a league is to not get too crazy with your ADP picks, meaning that you're taking a guy 4 rounds, for instance, before you had to in a draft. Yes, you could end up being the smartest guy in the room, and that does happen, but more than likely than not, you're not, and you ended up wasting an early pick when you could have got this guy 3-4 rounds later. So you want to kind of stay. I always try to stay within 12 picks. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Again, unless I'm just really high on a guy, and I try to target those or have a list of my guys that would fall outside of that window when I'm going into a draft.
Okay.
On that note, and you telling Jay not to be crazy in a draft, we're going to go ahead and take our next break. We're a couple minutes over. Keith, we appreciate your time as always, and can't wait to have you here in studio with us next week.
Man, I am very excited. We will be seeing each other in person, and can't wait for the draft at Dave & Buster's next Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Keith, we appreciate you as always. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The tradition continues.
That ball is going to be out of here.
America's team plays here.
Bombs away.
The Atlanta Braves are back and making a statement.
Ronald Acuna just clobbered one to left.
Listen to Atlanta Braves baseball in a rich audio experience live on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Here comes the thunder.
Sponsored by Goldberg Kia, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, Stormore Portable Buildings, and Brock Pest Control.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
Barbaritos lets you say yes to fresh. If you don't know what to eat or where to get it, well, fret no more. Barbaritos is here to help with its healthy menu, offering 7 meals with less than 500 calories. Barbaritos has lots of healthy options made with farm fresh food. Your health and your family's health matters to us. Come eat healthy at Barbaritos, 23rd Street in the Stanford Station Shopping Center near Academy Sports. Barbaritos, food, community, people.
You hear it first. Sports Talk right now. Back to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey.
I know it seems a bit overwhelming at first.
Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios.
Something makes me think you'll get used to it.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
Probably not the same song. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida, sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. I love some salt and pepper.
Yes.
Yeah. I was in Atlantic City one of the years I was interning in New Jersey. Not in Atlantic City. We were about an hour and a half north, and we went down one, and man, it was just a good time. I remember when Salt and Pepper Push It came on in whatever club we were in, it was time.
There you go.
It's time to break it down.
There you go.
It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, I go full on. Next time you talk to Beth, ask about the, I think it was the last cruise we went on. I got myself into a little tiny bit of trouble with the dancing early in the morning after some Bloody Marys. But anyway, regrouping. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say a classic Jayism would be we were. Me and my buddy were listening to Led Zeppelin back years ago, right? And I'm just trying to get into the music genre. You know, like, I love music, but so we're listening to it, and Led Zeppelin came on, and I go, this is great. This is great. I said, Led Zeppelin's the man. Led Zeppelin was a band. Yeah. He was not a man. Anyways.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Led Zeppelin's the man.
Just recapping after Keith's call there, you're going to have to draft a kicker and a defense in both the Bay Point and the ESPN Northwest Florida leagues because you have to fill all, 11 of those roster spots in your starters. You have to draft somebody in the draft. So
okay. All right.
Just FYI.
Just FYI.
Yeah.
Okay.
But wait till the end.
Yes.
Because like he said, it's, once you hit your bye with your kicker and defense anyway that you draft, you're going to have to be shuffling around anyway. So defense and kickers, not necessarily a dime a dozen. You've got a couple kickers, Justin Tucker, Daniel Carlson, that are definitely a little bit separated themselves from all the rest of them. But it's not enough point variance to make a difference, really. It can be what wins you a week, but yeah, you're going to have to draft one of each. So don't forget that. Don't draft two of each, though. That would be a disaster.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you just really want to.
Hey, man, I'm just learning. That's for sure.
No one's going to take advantage of you.
Keith said he's going to help me along the way with this one, and if you guys can help me as well.
We're going to all help you help ourselves.
There you go.
Depending on what league you're in. Yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure.
Relying on you guys.
Yeah. Don't rely too much. The college football freaks list of 2023 is kind of a fun one. Bruce Feldman from The Athletic put this one together. This is somebody I didn't really even know or have on my radar. He's got number one, Nichols Harbor, if I pronounce that correct. Nyckoles. Nichols Harbor. He's South Carolina. He's a freshman, true freshman, has him listed at number one in the freaks of college football. The reason why, he's 6'5", 243 pounds, and he is insanely fast. He won a 100-meter race in Myrtle Beach at that particular year. So he's massive. He runs fast. And to put that in perspective, I want to say DK Metcalf. It's not on here, but I want to say he's like 6'4", 220-ish. So very DK Metcalf sign phrase and all that. When he was clocked running in training with the Gamecocks this summer, he hit 22.9 miles an hour on the old running the miles per hour GPS there. A 100-meter dash, 10.22 seconds, and 6.64 in the 60-meter dash, and a 20.63 in the 200-meter. All this while being 6'5", 243 pounds. So I don't know why I haven't heard of this guy until now, but he's basically a Derrick Henry wide receiver to a certain degree, with the same speed and size and all that particular stuff. But a name more people know, Marvin Harrison Jr., he's at Ohio State, obviously was huge last year for C.J. Stroud and the Ohio State Buckeyes. He caught 77 passes for 1,263 yards and 14 touchdowns. Now, he was the one that got injured in that national championship game. Yeah, see, David just listens to me. And fumbled. God, what a jerk.
Jeez.
You liked it, though.
Yeah.
Being the Georgia fan that you are. So, number two freak athlete there, obviously. His highest clock was 23.5 miles an hour on his top speed, and he ran a 3.94 on the shuttle. Pretty crazy.
Good
This guy's just fast. It's ridiculous. He can also do bench press. He did his max out bench press was 380 pounds. Did 20 reps of 225 on the bench and squatted 500 pounds. That pretty much sounds like your stat line there, Jay.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yes, these guys are certainly. Again, this is the college football freaks. It's Bruce Feldman from The Athletic, kind of his top guys in this one. Next, this is a tough name. He's a BYU offensive lineman. I'm going to take the first name is Kingsley. The last name is Sumatiata or something like that. It's like Tua Tagovailoa, but I can pronounce that one. It's not Tua. It's a BYU offensive lineman. Kingsley, he's gonna be a first round pick most likely, but he's 6'8", 302 pounds. He can run a 4.98. He's got a vertical jump of 37 inches. He's got a broad jump of 10 feet. 302 pounds, 6'8". Now, again, when you're 6'8", your legs are pretty long. But yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
The fun fact here is that tigers run 30 miles an hour. These guys are almost running as fast as tigers.
Tigers 30
tigers
miles
run
an
30.
hour?
Horses run 55 miles an hour, and cheetahs run 80 miles an hour.
I know. That's fast, right?
Yes.
80.
Ooh.
Fun fact. Bringing the heat on the animal fun fact.
The tiger, 30 miles an hour.
Are we on the Coach James Hill show?
I don't know.
What about bears? How fast can a bear run?
How fast can a bear run?
And can you outrun a bear? That is the secondary question to this.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's why you're searching it up.
A polar bear, 25 miles an hour. A brown bear, 35 miles an hour.
Dang, what about a black bear like we have in Florida here?
Oh.
See, we finally put the laptop to use today. You've had it all show. You didn't do anything with it until this last segment.
They run 30 miles an hour. So, I mean, these guys, 23 miles an hour is what the dude at South Carolina, is that what you said, 23 miles?
No, that's Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, okay. Yep. I got you. Yeah, the animals will still get us.
Moral of the story, don't run from the black bear or run faster than your friend.
Yes. Yeah. Run faster than your friend.
That's what, keep your company slow.
Yep.
Always be the fastest in the group.
That's it.
There you go, Jay.
Yep, but anyways, keep going, Ryan.
Yeah, sorry. That was good. It was a good aside, as they would say it. Jordan Birch, he's a defensive lineman for Oregon. He was a 5-star recruit. He left South Carolina after his breakout season. He had 60 tackles, 32 of them solo, 7.5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, and deflecting 3 passes. He's again, defensive lineman. He's a junior. He's 6'6", 295, and he's been very impressive with the Ducks' edge rushers. Even though he's almost 300 pounds, he hit 21 miles on the GPS and going 20.85, and his vertical jump is 34 inches. He also back squatted 685 pounds and did a sumo deadlift of 685 as well. So, again, this is the Freaks list by Bruce Feldman, who's a writer with The Athletics. Number 5 on the Freaks list is Francis Mauigoa. He's a Miami offensive tackle, and he's 6'6", 341, and only has 20.9% body fat. He has 270 pounds of lean body mass. His agility for his size is what makes him even more impressive. He's got a 10-yard split of 1.72 seconds. That would have been the fastest second time recorded for all 300-pound plus offensive linemen at this year's offensive lineman combine for the NFL. That is because you want to be quick off the ball on offensive line, right, Jay?
Yes, you do.
You got to be quick hands, quick off the ball. The only other guy that was faster was BYU's Friedland, who is also 39 pounds lighter. His jump power, I don't know what this really means, but it sounds fantastic. His jump power is registered at 9,275 watts, the highest Miami has ever recorded. His jump momentum is 362 kilogram meter per second. I know that's something you study quite often, which is also the highest Miami has on record. He bench pressed 425 pounds and front squatted 500, which is tops on the team.
I'm currently finding out which animal that these guys can outrun.
Okay.
An alligator. An alligator only runs 20 miles an hour.
Yes.
They better be running sideways or zigzags.
But you got to look at the alligators, what the alligators 10-yard split would be. Because that's really key. Alligators have fast first bursts of speed.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you're talking about top end speed.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to get out of his way first. Yeah, and like David said, run all over the place because they can't move laterally very fast.
That's true.
They hop up and they've got good front end speed. What other animals? Don't say. I mean,
no. I mean that's all I've got. I mean, really, just alligators. You definitely.
I appreciate what you're bringing to this segment.
Yeah.
It's so much better than I'm doing. Chris Jenkins. I'm serious. He's a Michigan defensive tackle. Michigan's going to have arguably one of the best defenses in college football this year. Again, he's number 6 on this list, called the gold mine of the Wolverines. Strength coach Ben Herbert, maybe Bear. I don't know. But we're going to go with Ben Herbert, has been a gold mine for the Freaks list, and Jenkins is next in line. Former 3-star recruit. He's the son of former NFL star Chris Jenkins. He arrived at Ann Arbor at 257. Last year he played at 280s. Again, he's a defensive tackle. He made 54 tackles. 3.5 of those were tackles for losses, 20 QB pressures, and according to Pro Football Focus, he led all defensive linemen in the country in run stops, which is pretty darn impressive. He's up to 370 pounds now and is more powerful and explosive than ever. He did 32 reps of 225 on the bench and did 760 pounds on the combo twist. That's a lot. That's crazy.
Yikes.
On the top of last year's freak lift, Mazzie Smith, some 30-pound heavier, is the only one to do more at 800 pounds.
Is that squatting or 800-pound squatting?
No, that's the combo twist.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yikes.
We've only got 1 minute left to go. Lots more on this particular list. But that's South Carolina, a wide receiver, 6'5", 243, and running that kind of splits.
Nichols Harbor? And Nichols Harbor, I think,
yes,
is what. Okay.
Nichols Harbor.
I got to remember that guy because he's coming to Athens. Or are we going to Athens? Or is South Carolina coming to Athens?
No, I think you're playing in
Columbia?
Or at South Carolina.
Nope.
Yes, at South Carolina.
At South Carolina.
I don't know which week, but
I got you.
You are traveling to Columbia.
4.
Week 4?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Georgia's first test of the season.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget about the afternoon underdogs tonight from 4 to 6 p.m. Joined by DJ Davey Crockett, Kyle Wright, and another cast of fantastic sports fanatics.
AG
will be on the studio. You called a great question this morning.
DJ
Appreciate
Davey Crockett will be on the 1s and 2s.
On the 1s and 2s. There you go. Doing it both. Double dipping. But we appreciate you listening, and we will see y'all tomorrow.
ESPN Northwest Florida has the real local fishing report. Hi, this is Tim from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle. Join me every Friday at 4:20 during the afternoon